Hi, going to be a talk about open source, how to begin contributions, and Google Summer of Code, how to get selected, how to participate, what are the tips and tricks. Now, you might ask, who am I? So, I am currently I went into my fourth year, computer engineering student at the University of Mumbai. I have been now a two-time GSOC participant and contributor since almost 2018 now, mostly with Fedora. So going ahead with the talk, as you might see the outline, first I will be covering free open source software, followed by Google Summer of Code and how to get selected, etc. What is open source? Open source, as you might have heard the name recently everywhere, open source software has been very popular these days. Everyone is doing open source. Even the companies that were previously very closed source are now embracing open source. So this is basically the future of software engineering. I would also be teaching you how to begin with open source contributions. I did see some of your responses in the form sheet, and I noticed not that many of them have not contributed to open source. So I'm here to help you get started. This is the outline of the session. First, I will be introducing you to what open source is, then the facts of open source, first steps, how do you go from user to a contributor, how to communicate, and the summary. So basically, first question, what is your favorite open source tool? Towards a live audience, but then in a conference. But let's say mine is VLC. Now, how do I use it? I might ask myself. I use it to play media, mostly media and music. Okay. And the third question now would be, how often do I have an issue of some sort with it? So now these are the questions you should be asking yourself. Find what you like. What kind of open source software that you're using in your life right now? What do you like? And maybe start by contributing to those projects. What problems you find in those, and start by improving those problems by filing for bug fixes, etc. So story was basically I did know about open source back in 2014, 2015, but then I did not do much. I was still learning to program back then. I only made a small game, uh, but basically that's it. And then came a break because I was procrastinating a lot. Okay, I was lazy, etc. And then I also had a fear of publishing, because the at a beginner stage, I think everyone has this, where basically you are intimidated by the code out there. The Some code bases can be really large, so it is very easy to get scared about the code base. And I also had a fear of publishing because I thought that my code wasn't that great, or that great basically. uh, so I had that fear of publishing. What is open source? Open source is a method of software development. It's transparent. So basically, anyone can see anything, starting from the mailing list to everything. And then there's also collaboration. Now, what you might ask, what is collaboration? Basically, anyone of any race, color from any corner of the planet can collaborate in open source software. Now, things you can do with open source software is you can obviously view the source code, then you can fix problems in it, problems of a software. You can add new features. Let's say, for example, in VLC, you want to add a feature of also streaming to YouTube. So maybe you could add that. You can suggest changes. Now, all the open source project work is done by volunteers. on their spare time. No, there are many open paid programs these days and internships, but then also most of the work, at least in the past, used to be done by volunteers and still is on many projects. So, what would be your first steps in getting started with open source? So, the first steps would be first, as you might see on your screen, GitHub. If you go on GitHub on its home page, you might come across the trending section where, as you might see, there are all the trending repositories. Okay, so you might, if you don't know any open source software, you can also start by looking at these and beginning contributions to them. It's that easy. And some of these trending repositories are really interesting usually. So, and see, again, these can be complex. So, for example, the Nest style CSS framework or secure and fast micro VMs, all this can be intimidating to a new user. And I totally get that. I've been there at one point. So basically, but then, so you can move to other easy software that is also there on GitHub, easy open source projects. You don't have to worry much. So again, these are complex. So how would you choose a project? So my suggestion would be to follow these 3 steps. Stick to what you know, basically, and search by language. So basically, stick to a tech stack that you might know about. Like for example, someone from electronics and telecom engineering might know about Arduino or Beagle board or Raspberry Pis and might know Python. So by contributing to these projects related to to that tech stack, instead of jumping onto a new tech stack, as it can be really intimidating. But this also should be balanced with what is trending, working on projects that align with the market needs. And you should not just stick to some old school stuff, because if you want to get a job, then you have to stick with what is trending in the industry. Then next, going from a user to a contributor. So becoming a user is first a great idea. So this is a small example that I've taken of the process. Let's say I need some new drivers for a new Wi-Fi adapter, but they aren't there in my operating system. Now let's say my operating system is Fedora. Okay, but then these drivers aren't packaged. So what would I do? So what I would do is I would go on the mailing list, and then ask them, mailing list or their specific forum, and ask them as to how can I begin contributions. Okay, so now here's a great example. This is from a long time ago, but basically, as you might see on your screen, the user asked that he has got a new USB wireless AC adapter, and that he was surprised to see that it didn't automatically start working. So then he came across bunch of tutorials, and then list that if how could he begin packaging it for Fedora, and basically that's how he went from a user to a contributor. It's that easy to do. The structure of GitHub projects is also very important, so that you won't be intimidated when getting started with open source. Let's say first, whenever you go on a project, the most important thing there is the README. It almost always states how you might build the project on your system, install it, and how to begin contributions. Every open source project has its own rules, mostly etiquettes of contributing. So, and those must be always must be followed. So these 3 files, the readme.md, contributing.md, and license.md. So these, after reading these files, you will get a better idea about the project and how you could begin contributing to that project. Then making your first contribution. So many might ask, like, how would you make your first contribution? Now the obvious thing here is, and those who might not know, is raising a issue. Basically, everything, at least on projects that are on GitHub, and most of the projects that use some sort of version control system, all the discussion happens on issues. So let's say you want to contribute to a part of the project, or report a problem, or report a feature that is, or suggest a feature that is missing. You would simply go in the issue section and raise the issue, stating all the details and how I could start, or how you could start, and then the contributors of the project will help you out. This is how I got started, and this is how many got started with open source. Things that we often overlook are communication skills. Communication is the key. And remember, see, soft skills are more important than your technical skills. This is what I have realized now, after almost 2 years in the industry. You might have technical skills, but then so do thousands of others. Soft skills and being humble is very important. Otherwise, it will burn you. So basically, software is greater than code. And now, what is software and what is code, you might ask? Software is basically the process of building software, and the whole thing, starting from documentation to and going beyond code to user support. That is software, and code is just the code. So the overall development of the software is important than just your specific code. So you should keep all those things in mind while developing software. And then, as I said, being polite. Soft skills are very important. And lastly, don't hesitate to ask questions if you are stuck. In open source, there are a lot of friendly people, so you should always ask questions if you are stuck. So moving on, most students, from what I have seen and from my interactions with students, uh, 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 why they think twice before contributing. First is the fear of judgment. Then there is the not finding interesting projects, and third is college and time commitment. I will get back to the third point later, as it can get into a heated discussion. So basically, fear of judgment, as I said previously also, many new users are intimidated by the size of code, or by other already present open source contributors code, as to how good it is, etc. And it's totally natural to have such fear of judgment. But then you should not worry about it much. Everyone has to start somewhere, and there are not many judgmental people in open source, so don't really worry about it. Then there's not finding interesting project. Yes, I do understand this. It can be difficult to find interesting projects for certain tech stacks. Okay, and the third thing is college and time commitment. Now, this is something which I would love to talk about, because in most of this is what I think is also holding back a lot of students. Basically, I'm not saying you should skip college or you should bunk college, but then you should take out time. You need to dedicate a lot of time to open source contribution, and and basically don't bunk college. Okay, listen to this carefully. Don't I'm not saying bunk college, but then I would say do take some days out of your 6 day or 5 day schedule of college. Go maybe 4 days or 3 days a week, and take the rest of the time contributing to open source and learning new technology. as that will help you with your career a lot. So college, and another thing is, now I know there is a compulsory attendance criteria and everything. So make the most of what you have. Now everything depends from college to college. But if the attendance criteria isn't that strict, then I don't think college would be more beneficial to you than doing open source, because working on open source projects teaches you a lot of practical things and new things than college would ever be able to teach you. Unless you are in IIT or NIT somewhere, then that is a different topic. Basically, uh, so I am also GitHub campus expert, and GitHub now, you might see this yellow bag on the screen. If you click on this link, which Saket will put in the chat link, this is basically the education pack, and you get a lot of free software that you can use to build projects, and lot of software and lot of services like Azure, AWS, DigitalOcean's Credit, and then Datadog for data analysis. So a lot of these tools, more than I think 150 or 70 tools at this point, are given to you free, thanks to GitHub. So in my opinion, everyone should subscribe to this pack and make full use of all the free stuff that you get using this pack. Let me show you an example of what all is free. Just a sec. Okay, so there's some technical issue here right now. Anyways, you should check out the link. There's a lot of free stuff that you get, and you should definitely use this. Now, these are also some of the resources where you can start on how you can get started with contributing to open source. Now, all these websites are only made for first-time contributors. They help you get started. Like for example, the Up for Grabs website, or first timers only. All these list out open source projects by their tags, which says good first issue or low hanging fruit, and these are so basically these are easy that you can get started with on any project. Now Saket will also keep this in the description below. Yeah, I will also share the slides so that you can go directly to the links. Then coming to communities on GitHub, so there are many communities on GitHub. One of the good ones of them is Free Code Camp. I think most of you must have heard what Free Code Camp is, and even those who have not, Free Code Camp is basically they offer free lessons of Python, JavaScript, and other upcoming uh, technology, and then there's MLH. Then all these communities are on GitHub, and you should definitely explore them, as all of them are really interesting. Then there's events. So Hacktoberfest is basically a global online event where throughout the month of October, uh, people contribute to open source projects, and on five pull requests, the Hacktoberfest people send you cool stickers and T-shirts. And this is a great way to get started with open source software, and also the T-shirts are very cool, the design, so you should definitely check that out as well. So now I will be moving to the second topic. The second topic, that is Google Summer of Code. Basically, what is Google Summer of Code? Google Summer of Code is a paid summer long program for students to contribute on open source projects. Students get paid a stipend and other benefits. University students are eligible for this. Now, I have been a GSOC student for almost 2 years now. How does the I know a lot of you must have heard about GSOC, or if you have not heard, it's fine. Right now it is going on. You can go on their website and check it out. Working of the program. So basically, it is a 3 month program where students, after being selected by the project, work on specific projects in open source projects that are underneath a larger open source organizations. Then the project announcement and selection period lasts about almost 2 months, and this happens every summer. Now the coming to the benefits part, which is something what everyone is asking me. There's a really good stipend that is paid in US dollars, so it translates into a lot of money in India, basically. Uh, and this is why a lot of students do GSOC, from what I've heard. Then there's the referral at Google. Everyone who completes GSOC successfully gets a referral at Google for an interview. Then the third thing is good industry experience. I got to learn a lot, and in at least in many of the projects, you get to learn a lot. You get to work with industry experts and with software developers who are already working in the industry, and they mentor you one on one with your projects, and how to change, how to improve your development practices if you are stuck somewhere. So basically, this is a internship. This is kind of a summer internship than anything else. Now, how to get selected? Because every year in GSOC there are more than 1 lakh, 2 lakh applicants, and only some thousand students get selected every year. So it is quite competitive, and by competitive I mean very competitive. On a specific project, there might be more than 300 or 400 applicants in some cases. So, so to get selected, it is quite difficult, one might say, but you should not worry. Basically, what I would suggest is you should have previous open source experience before you begin contributing to GSOC. You should know how Git works, how version control works. Then you should be familiarized with any tech stack. You should be familiarized with any tech stack, any standardized tech stack. Let's say if you want to do something in microservices, then now you might ask, what are microservices? Microservices are basically multiple different small softwares coupled together using APIs. This might be the easiest definition of it. So for this, your tech stack might be Python, Go, or Java Spring, and then this and a good command or REST APIs or GraphQL, and RabbitMQ or Kafka. So basically, okay. So you might also ask, what is REST? Now REST is let's say a API format in which REST is basically a API format. It is quite popular, and in which basically it is non-state. Yeah, it's non-state. I don't know how to put this in words. I know the textbook definition of it. It's basically what one might say. It's yeah, non-state managed. Basically, yeah, it's non-state managed, and even your normal browser requests are mostly REST. HTTP requests are mostly in REST. So basically, once I send something, then that state goes there, and that's it. Uh, I will leave the link in the description for you to read more about this. So basically, you should, what I'm coming back to the point, you should have good knowledge of a standardized tech stack. Standardized tech stack so that so that you can compete with others, as there will be a lot of people who are already good at stuff. So if you want to get in, you have to put an effort. You have to start studying almost at least 6 to 9 months in advance about everything. Get your hands onto stuff, become good in everything. So about my experience in GSOC, last year I did my Google Summer of Code in Fedora project. I had a great mentoring experience as I had a very good mentor, and I also learned a lot of good development practices such as atomic commits, writing test cases for everything. I also got to attend a conference. Many GSOCers also get to attend conferences, and all these conferences are international conferences. So I got to go to Budapest for a conference. So you might also get a chance to go if you are selected in GSOC. Uh, and I had an overall great experience. I met people from so many different countries there. There were a lot of various interns. I got to learn from their development practices as well. I got to interact with so many industry folks from the industry. So this overall was a very great experience last year. And basically, that's it from my end. If you have doubts, suggestions, or feedback, questions, anything, right now is the right time to ask.
Have
Saket?
any questions, please feel in the comments. I'll read them out for Manas, or Manas actually has your questions. He'll be able to answer them.
They would also get stickers.
Yeah, yeah. One more incentive is Manas has promised that he'll send out stickers for those who ask questions. What he's going to be doing now is he'll show us a walkthrough on project, searching for a sample project, and how you go about reading the issues, and how do you select issues that might be suitable for you to contribute.
Yeah, so basically, you can see here it is written easy pick or enhancement. So anything that is written as a easy pick is basically an easy issue to get started, or something that says good first issue. And here it says add a specific sort key for default bucket ID. So this is what the main contributor said and how to do it. And then the person that wanted to contribute began asking questions here, as you might see on the screen. Data scientists in open source, basically there's a lot of opportunity for data scientists in open source. There are a lot of ML and AI data which work on large databases. So the TensorFlow project, yes. Ah, see, this is the TensorFlow project, which is open source, as you might see. So basically, but then TensorFlow, as a data scientist, TensorFlow I think is more geared towards, this project is geared towards those who know about hardware and hardware acceleration, those who can contribute. If you are going to be a data scientist, otherwise, then see, you can also work on this. Obviously, if you know about data science and how everything works. Uh, project. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the Pandas project. Now, many people in data science might know Pandas is a library, powerful library in Python used to manipulate data. Not manipulate exactly, but used to work with data, basically. Yeah, see, basically, if you go on this project and if you go in the label section, here you might find something like, let's say, linking complex. See, good first issue is a label here. So if you click on this, you would get everything that is labeled by good first, and you can start by working with these issues. You can simply go here and begin asking questions. as to how I can begin contributing, what my problem is, etc. As in this example.
Question asking how to select an organization and start contributions. Being a beginner, what kind of products should we choose?
So basically, how to select an organization and start contributions. That totally, depends on what your interest is. What are you interested in? If someone is data science, they should begin with data project. If someone is interested in APIs, microservices, or something related to backend web development, they could maybe start with a Flask request, which is a Python library. So basically, something of that sort they could start with. And being a beginner, what kind of projects that we should choose? Being a beginner, it totally depends upon your tech stack, how much you know, basically. And as I said, you should go on the go first. However large the project may be, you should always check out the good first issue section, so that even all these large projects have easy to start with issues. So you should simply start with that. You should not be, locked down that because you are a beginner, you are only going to work with something specific. Just a second. This is the Prometheus project, and if you go on the issue section and on the label, and yeah. Low hanging fruit. So low hanging fruit is also another abbreviation or term basically for easy pick or good first issue. You might see like provide default URL scheme for prompt or server addresses. Now this looks like a very easy issue. So basically this is how you should find easy issues even on large projects, and that too, everything depends on what you like what your interest is in what this.
There is another question asking for what are the things that important, what are the things that are important while putting out the GSOC application for the first time. So how do you apply? Can we talk a little bit about the application process?
Yeah. So see, as I said, GSOC is very competitive. In many of the projects, what they will would be a lot of competition, to be honest. And to come out of all this, in my opinion, you should do a live demo of some functionality, not all the outcomes of the project, but some outcomes, some functionality of the project should be demoed in advance.
I mean, how does one go about applying in the first place? Like, I think the question was more like concentrated on that end. How
Once the GSOC sites announce all the organizations that have been selected, then you go on the website, choosing projects as per your tech stack. So basically, here you might see in the organization section. If you type by technology or topic, let's say I don't think this is on right now. Before the projects are announced, before the selections are announced, this is available. I will try if this is there. Let's say Python, so I would simply type in Python here, and all the projects. Wait, is it only showing Python Software Foundation? Okay, so when I type Python into the search bar, you would get a list of all the projects that have loading again. Okay, you would get all the projects that are that use Python or that have ideas related to Python, in which you can select as a project. So basically, I'm clicking on a org. Let's say I'm clicking on Beagleboard here. Let's say, and I click on learn more and see projects, and then I click on the ideas list here. You would get a list of all the GSOC ideas. You might see like so many ideas, and then as per your liking, you pick out an idea. Basically, you might see so many ideas suggested here by the mentors. You pick out the idea, whatever you want to work on, and then you go on to their specified communication channel. It might be via IRC. Now you might ask, what is IRC? IRC is basically a communication protocol. It is very old school, and through on it, and people and many open source projects have all their discussions on IRC chat rooms. So basically, you would simply go on IRC and talk to the specified mentor there. Like you might see mentors name that there, and ask them as to how can I begin with this project, as to what do you desire, as to what you think the outcome should be, and that is how you begin discussions, and then you will get into the flow and get more ideas. And one of the biggest things about getting selected is you should, in my opinion, with the proposal should be very detailed. Okay, the proposal is basically a PDF with step by step how you would be implementing the project. You should also, if possible, include some contribution to the idea that you have picked, so that they know you are capable of doing it. You have the skills to do it.
Once you submit your idea, there is at least a month of time for your project acceptance is
And
announced, and these
yeah.
are the projects that have been accepted for this year.
Hmm. In this org, there are like so many orgs. Let's click on another org. See, let's click on this org. The only one project was accepted in this org. Many factors in getting selected and how many slots org gets. So there's a lot dependent. Any other questions?
It's all. That's that, Manas. Thanks. It has been an informative session. Share them to me. I'll share them with all the audience. So, so thank you, Manas. Thanks for joining in. And that marks the end of our live stream.